got married. As I saw it on the back of it, it was taken in 1927, this picture. Actually, she had very beautiful hair, my mother. That's myself here. She had also beautiful hair those days. And my sister, my younger sister. I don't know how, I must have been maybe 7, 8 years old, maybe even not. I don't think I'm 7 years old. And this is also myself with my sister, this picture. That's my mother, also before she got married. Must have been 1927. That's both of them, my father and my mother here. Also before they got married. This is my uncle here, the oldest brother from my on the right, and these are the sisters. These sisters, and these are the children of the sisters. It's also a very old picture. Nobody survived from this picture at all. Nobody survived. This is my that's from my mother's side, the whole family. My grandmother, grandfather, and the two sisters, my mother and my auntie, and the two brothers, my uncles. Nobody survived from this family. That's my cousins. Also, they didn't survive. That was a picture with the mother and the father, my uncle and auntie, and these are the two sons. The whole family. They were staying not far from us in another town, and nobody survived from this family. And this is the younger brother. He also didn't survive. That's my father's youngest brother. He was taken in Czechoslovakia to the camp in one of the camps in Theresienstadt, and he didn't survive. This is my father in the uniform. He was a soldier then, and the sisters, he came to visit them, and down is also the sisters. One is the middle, the man is there, my uncle, who survived. He died just 2 years ago, Arpad, and next to him, on the left side, is Olga. She also survived, but she died. It's my cousin's mother. And the others are the sisters, all the other sisters. And this is, again, that's my father, my mother, and myself. I'm there next to my mother and my sister and my younger brother. Here, that's my class in the Hebrew school in Munkach, and there I am, the sec the second the second row, the third from the right, and next to me is Schlesinger, and I recognize quite a few there. That's the class. That's the teacher there. And there were still quite a few survivors from here whom we meet in Israel or in America whenever we are together. This is just after the war in Israel. Must have been done in 49, 50, where we met all the survivors from the school. And these are all who survived. And I'm still in touch with them. We're all from one, actually one or two classes. Just we are the youngest ones. Actually, quite a few I met just last year when I was in Israel. We had a get together. It's my father in Bulawayo. He came to visit. It's the factory there in Bulawayo, the old factory. He used to come every year. It must have been done in 1960, 61, because there's still two names there, Fashion Art and Zita Manufacturers. And this is a picture which we made when David was 1 year old in Israel, in Haifa. That's myself, it's my late wife, Judith, with David, my father, my sister, and my mother there. This is in Jerusalem in 1953 when it was the exhibition, the World Exhibition, when I got the first prize, and Ben Gurion with his wife came to visit our stand. It was then called Ungar and Son in Jerusalem. This is my sister. I think it was Purim when she dressed like this. It was in Israel, in Kiryat Bialik. It was a Purim dress, actually. That's my late wife, Judith. It was taken here, actually, in this room. Must have been quite a few years ago. And this is also myself with my wife. And this must have been taken one of the weddings. Don't know which wedding. You think? This must be, this is in one of the weddings. I think it's David's wedding. It's Ruthie, Bernard, myself, David, my sister, Katya, Suzelle, and Ronald, and Tashi, Josh, and Jared. the grandchildren. This picture must have been taken at, it was David's wedding with friends. This is Bernard, my middle son, who is not here. He is in Zimbabwe at the moment. He's staying there. And that's his daughter, Tashi, with myself. And that's Josh, the other grandson, who is also there in Bulawayo at the moment.
This is Tim Feinberg in Johannesburg, South Africa, on the 28th of June, 1998, interviewing Mr. Willie Ungar.
I would like to introduce here my sons, David, the oldest, with his lovely wife, Fran, and Ronald, with his wife, also very lovely, and the little baby also.
Here's Fran and here's our daughter Georgia, and Jenna, my daughter, and Jared, my son. This is my wife Zal and Darren, my son. And I realize how difficult this has been for my father, this whole experience today, of speaking for the videos. I know that because it's only a few years ago that he actually started speaking about his experiences during the Holocaust. And I hope to gain from this, and that I think there's a lot of things that he said on his videos, and in a few months' time I'll be able to see the videos and actually know more about his experiences, because I don't believe I know everything. I don't believe he's told me everything. And I'm very proud of him, of what he's done today, and he's finally gone ahead and actually done it, because he was very apprehensive about going ahead with it. He was very scared. And yeah, very, very happy. And last year we actually went away to his birth town, Munkach, with my other brother Bernard, who's not here today. And it was an experience and a half. It really was really good to go to where he was born and to where he went to school in those areas. I've also got a letter from my brother Bernard in Bulawayo. I'll start at the beginning there. Starts off, my earliest memories of any discussion to do with my father's experiences was a conversation I had with my mother. It was to do with leather coats and black boots, and my mother telling me that she did not want any of us wearing these items because it was too upsetting for my father. She also told me not to bring the subject up with my dad, as it was still too difficult for him to discuss it. This was in the early 70s, and the message stuck with me for a long time. It is only in the last few years that Willie has started to talk about the experiences during the war. There were certain experiences that stick out, and he discusses them, most notably the end of the war when both he and his father were liberated. The fact that he had a forged birth certificate indicating that he was actually older. He still has this. This meant that was old enough to work and was able to join the queue with his father. His sister and younger brother were too young and joined the queue with their mother, and he never saw them after that. He says that he used to do jewelry repairs for the officials, and this kept him in good favor with them. When he and his father, Erno, were liberated, Erno was too sick to travel, and Willie went back to Munkacheva on his own. They went there, then went to settle Carnival. Bernard, my brother in Bulawayo, has asked that I read a letter today. My earliest memories of any discussion to do with my father's experiences was a conversation I had with my mother. It was to do with leather coats and black boots, and my mother telling me that she did not want any of us wearing these items because it was too upsetting for my father. She also told me not to bring up the subject with my dad, as it was still too difficult for him to discuss it. This was in the early 70s, and the message stuck with me for a long time. It is only in the last few years that Willie has started to talk about his experiences during the war. There were certain experiences that did stick out when he discusses them. Most notably, the end of the war when both he and his father were liberated. The fact that he had a forged birth certificate indicating that he was actually older. He still has the certificate. This meant that he was old enough to work and was able to join the queue with his father. His sister and younger brother were too young and joined the queue with their mother, and he never saw them after that. He says that he used to do jewelry repairs for the officials, and this kept him in good favor with them. When he and his father, Erno, were liberated, Erno was too sick to travel, and Willie went back to Munkachevo on his own. They went to settle in Kalabavari at 25 Bulhaska Road, and the image of this massive apartment and its address always comes to mind. The opportunity to go to Munkachevo and Kalabavari with my father and Ronald, myself, was an emotional one. It was remarkable how vividly he remembered the city of Munkachevo, the family's old apartment, his old school, the synagogue, and the family shop. As children, we learned that the Jews had to wear a yellow star to indicate to one and all that they were Jewish. But it was not until last year that I discovered that my father had to wear one of these stars too. He certainly had never previously shared this fact with us. The walls of the Munkachevo ghetto were gone, but the area where the ghetto was is still very clear. At the Munkachevo station, which is now completely different, he knew that many of the Jews passed through there on their way to the camps. On the drive back from Munkachevo to Budapest, through Beregevo, he pointed out the brick factory, and I asked him what the significance was. He told us that he had not actually seen it before, but he knew that the Jews were sent there before they were sent to the camps. The experience of tracing my father's footsteps is one that will certainly stay with me. Indeed, it has affected my vision of my father and served to underline the great respect I have for him. In more ways than one, he is the living definition of the word survivor.
Dad, here are a few words from me and my family. Dad, I can remember clearly when I was 10 years old, you taking the family on our first skiing holiday to Switzerland, where we stayed in a Rosa. I remember my bar mitzvah and the massive party you gave me in Bulawayo. I remember all the other great holidays we shared together in Durban, Cape Town, London, Israel, going on and on. I remember how much fun I had when I grew up. We lived with all the pleasures as well as lots of hope. When I was 18 years old, I started asking how different it was when you had your bar mitzvah. What holidays did you know about? Dad, from those days,